probably saying to yourself, what do you mean the potential of Venom? This film was a box office success, almost making $1 billion. It was the 7th highest grossing film of 2018 and breaking some box office records for an October release. With the help of the performance from Tom Hardy as Eddie Brock, 80% of the audience really enjoyed this film. So did I. So with all this success, Sony did not hesitate to announce a sequel. So by hearing all this, you're saying to yourself, Venom sounds so successful. It doesn't seem like it could have been made any better. But it could have. So let's begin with the making of this film. You probably didn't think that Venom was already trying to make his big screen debut in 1997. David S. Goyer had a script written and it was going to be produced by New Line Cinema and was going to star Dolph Lundgren and have Carnage as the main bad guy. But in the end, the rights of Spider-Man went to Sony Pictures, which in Spider-Man 3 finally featured Venom played by Topher Grace. Eddie Brock was only going to have a brief appearance, but producer Avi Arad felt that Sam Raimi was only doing villains he liked, instead of doing a villain fans really wanted to see. Sam was really hesitant to explore Eddie's character due to his lack of humanity, and well, yes, he was right. Many fans didn't like how Eddie and Venom were portrayed in this film. Even with all this negativity, Sony Pictures still wanted to do a spin-off of Venom. They hired many writers and were given many ideas to how to make this anti-hero film work. After Sam Raimi left the Spider-Man franchise, Sony rebooted and wanted to make the Venom film tie in with the Amazing Spider-Man universe. Similar to the MCU, due to the Amazing Spider-Man 2 underperforming and not making the money the studio was hoping for, Sony were stuck again in what to do with the Spider-Man and Venom. A couple of years later, Spider-Man joined the MCU. But that didn't stop Sony from making a Venom film, completely unrelated to the MCU Spider-Man. Venom finally had some legs and was greenlit, and as announced that Tom Hardy was taking the role of Eddie Brock / Venom, and was given a release date. So, how was this film? Let's talk about it, shall we? So the film we got was an origin story about Venom, and it was not good. And the story was awful. But wait, I just said I love this film and was liked by 80% of the audience, including myself. Yes, that's very true. And let me tell you why this film was not good and had an awful story. This film has some great action scenes and fun moments, to some really good comedic moments.
Jump. Pussy.
Hey, Eddie.
But that's not Venom. That's not how he should be portrayed. Yes, of course he does some cheesy moments in the comics and fun moments, but this is what it's missing. The dark moments. Venom is like a drug. It calls out to them when their host feels down and they feel the only way to handle it is with violence and aggression. Which Venom enhances. He also gets the person to no longer act like themselves. Venom changes the host, not for the better but for the worse. The host doesn't feel that way the first time. They love the power the symbiote gives them, and it's like nothing they ever felt before.
Wow. This feels good.
That's why Sam Raimi could have knocked it out of the park if they gave him more time to develop him, because this is what he was doing in Spider-Man 3. We get to see this even more in the editor's cut. But in this Venom film, we get a pretty lazy story. Science guy wants to get life from space to improve the life of humanity to live in space, but is stopped by Eddie by the symbiote known as Venom, because in the end they end up liking each other very well. I guess you can say best friends, but we never get that feeling that Venom was harming Eddie, just like in one scene and that's it.
You were killing me?
What happened to we?
What happened to we?
We're done.
And Venom just goes back to Eddie to save the world because in the end he started liking him. And Venom is not wanting to go back home because he also sees himself as a loser. Yes, he really did say that about himself.
Wow.
On my planet, I am kind of a loser, like you.
This is how we could have gotten Venom. It would have been like a character study, same way Todd Phillips did with the Joker. We dive in the character of Eddie, dealing with how depressed he is, and being enhanced by Venom to take it out on the people of San Francisco. We can still have Drake as the main antagonist, but instead of Venom becoming good because of liking Eddie, he grows fond with the people of San Francisco, due to him learning more about Eddie's past and losing his mother and father in an early age, and he being left alone and pushed around like everyone just like Venom. And that's when we get to Venom's sympathy. He also feels the same way. He tells Eddie the same thing. He gets pushed around and is mostly alone on his home planet. We can still have that fight at the Life Foundation, but instead of Venom turning on Riot so quickly, he keeps hesitating until Eddie convinces them to keep the Earth safe from harm. He once again relates to Venom after witnessing how Riot treats him. For Eddie to tell Venom to stop being pushed around, "I may have had a bad life, but at least I tried facing my demons. You chose me as your host because we are a perfect match." And Venom finally stands up to Riot, torturing him with the same sonic sounds and murdering him in a pit of fire. And yes, all this will be rated R instead of PG-13. This film was really a surprise on the success it got. This was Sony's way to make their own Spider-Man universe again, and if this film bombed like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, we probably wouldn't have gotten a sequel to Venom, the new Morbius film, another villain of Spider-Man, and Sony probably wouldn't have exited out of the deal of Disney and Marvel so quickly. But out of nowhere, it was a financial success for the studio. But why? Why was this so successful? From the many articles that I have read, they all said the same thing: a bad movie saved by the performance of Tom Hardy. And it's true. If it wasn't for the casting of Tom, I probably wouldn't have watched this film in the theaters. He's an excellent actor. I seen him in The Dark Knight Rises as the villain Bane and in Mad Max Fury Road. They also put tons of Venom in this film. At first, when the trailer came out, there wasn't any Venom, which made the second trailer have plenty of Venom, and so did the film. The great action scenes and having Venom do his thing in the city of San Francisco is honestly what made the film work. This film is what I call a guilty pleasure film. You know it's awful, but you find enjoyment when you watch it. I knew this film wasn't going to be anything spectacular because you need Spider-Man to give Venom and Eddie their true story. So when I went to watch it, I turned off my movie logic brain and said to myself, just sit back and enjoy this film for what it is. It was still fun and had a couple of horror aspects which I enjoyed, and plenty of action which did bring a smile to my face, even though it wasn't a great film. But that's not what this film was made for. It was made to keep you entertained with no powerful storytelling. We all have movies that we watch and some people will be like, "You like this movie? It sucks." But the film was still liked and loved by 80% of the audience, even though the critics hated this movie. Well, I honestly can't wait to see what Sony has in store with Venom Let There Be Carnage. I'm really excited to see Carnage. He is my second favorite villain in comics. The first is the Joker. I know this is going to have great action scenes like the first one, maybe even better, but I hope they do give us a better and powerful story. We all know Tom Hardy is going to kill it again as Eddie Brock/Venom, and I know Woody Harrelson is going to kill it as Cletus Cassidy/Carnage, but again, I hope there's a better story in the sequel. I really hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Please leave a like and share it around. I'll see you in the next video.